Hi everyone, welcome to our channel Excel in Excel. We have recently crossed a milestone which is 50 videos in our channel. So if you have any queries related to Excel, go check it out. You will find something useful, something new. And in today's session, we are going to address one common problem which every corporate employee might have faced in once or other time in your career, which is nothing but how to solve your Excel hanging issues. Every time we see this, right? Like the Excel getting hanged or getting frozen, not responding. It can be because of multiple reasons. So we will see the reasons and we'll try to find out like what is the solution for that. So the first thing which I can say, so this is the data we are taking up. We have some random data over here. And if you see it's running till almost like 1 lakh lines. So if I see the file size, this is approximately 10 MB. The first thing which I look at is the file size and how can I reduce the file size, because I don't want to work with big files. It can take up a lot of RAM space and it can slow down my computer, right? So how can I reduce that? The first and easiest thing which we can do is save as and change the format to Excel binary workbook. What does this binary workbook do? It just compress your file. So the whatever data will be as it is, there is no change in the data. How it saves is the only thing which got changed. It compresses the data and reduces the file. Sometimes depending on the data and all, it reduces almost like 50% as well. So it all depends on your data. But there's one challenge with the binary workbook. The data is not saved in a readable format. I mean, when your Excel got crashed or something, when you want to recover that file, then it will be an issue. If not, the binary workbooks works just exactly like the normal Excel workbook. Only in case of data recovery, it might be a problem. So just keep that in mind. So we are doing this binary workbook, save. And now if you see the file info, from 10 MB, it got reduced to 6.5 MB, almost like 30% reduction. You can say more than 35%. So which is one good thing if you're working on huge data sets. Next thing which can slow down our computer mostly is conditional formatting. So some people use this conditional formatting to differentiate or to present it in a better way. But the challenge with conditional formatting is excessive use of conditional formatting make the system slower. So I have given some conditional formatting in this file. If I try to do something, the time it took will get increased. So if you don't want some conditional formatting, just try to avoid that or just restrict to the data which you want. So how to do that? You can go to this conditional formatting, manage the rules. So for example, I have data till 1 lakh lines, but the range which I'm giving is the entire column. So if you're using the entire column, every time you try to do something, it reads the entire column. It don't stop at the 1 lakh line, which is till where data is available, right? Even though there is no data after the 1 lakh line, it will still read that. So it will take a lot of time. So whenever you're applying conditional format, just stick to the data you want. Don't give it for the blank, just like this blank entire column, entire row, or entire database. If you do that, it will take a lot of time. So that's one thing we can keep in mind. Or if, for example, if you don't want any conditional formatting, again, like manage rules, you can see the number of conditional formattings available in this worksheet, right? So if you don't want something, just delete it. You can edit, you can delete, you can do anything using the manage rules. So that is the second option we have. I have one column, something called a timestamp. Whenever someone is making changes or something for some purpose, I created this formula, okay, which is called now. So every time I'm doing any changes, it'll update everything. If wherever this formula is available, it'll update. Even though you're not changing this particular cell, I'm editing somewhere over here. Still it'll change. So, like wherever in Excel you do any change, this particular formula will keep on changing, right? So these kind of formulas are called volatile formulas. The more volatile formulas you have in your Excel, it will take a lot of time to run these formulas. Every time you do any change in any place of the Excel, this formula has to run again for all the cells. So these kind of formulas can make your Excel hang or getting slow. So some of the formulas which I can say is examples of volatile formulas, something like offset, which people not use that often, but indirect, or something like now, or something like today, which we use to ease our work. But these are like volatile formulas. So if possible, just try to avoid them. And the next thing which can be a hurdle sometimes is the links. So for example, if you go to this data and workbook links, you can see all the links available in this particular workbook. So something like in external links, all the external links will be available over here. So if you don't want some external links, just try to break it or remove that formula itself. Because if you keep an external link, every time the Excel tries to read that particular external workbook and get the data. And again, it's like a time taking thing, right? Because it depends on both the file sizes and all. So if you're having an external workbook links, it will consume a lot of time. So if you don't know what is this particular link and you still want to see the output, either paste special or just click on break all. It will just break the link between the external workbook and this workbook, and the output will remain as is. It won't change. One more reason where the data file can be slower or getting hanged is creating pivot tables. So for example, if you create a pivot table for this particular data, earlier the file size is somewhere like 6 MB, right? Now, if you check the file size, it became like 11 MB. So the more pivot tables you create or charts you prepare or some designs or charts you're preparing using this particular data, it consumes a lot of data, right? So it makes your Excel hang. So if you don't need, for example, these are two pivot tables of same data. For example, if I don't want it, just remove that. So maybe you can just modify this pivot table only always, or just see how it works the best for you. So this is one reason for your system or Excel getting hanged. So you might be seeing this particular issue. There are like huge data sheets or huge formulas, links, and huge files. When you're doing some changes, no, you will see an option here, calculating. It'll take the moment you click enter, it'll take at least 1 or 2 minutes to calculate all the values, and then only you will be able to go to the next step. Till that time, the Excel will be like freezed. So you are doing like a lot of changes, and every time it's taking the time to calculate, you have this option to stop the calculations. Formulas tab, we have this option called calculation options. If you change it to, like, normally it will be an automatic, and if it is an automatic, it automatically, like, whenever you add any new formula, the output will be automatically calculated and the result will be displayed. But if you change it to manual, what will happen? Okay, the first value is correct, but whenever I'm copy pasting any formula, the results are not getting changed. If you see here, this is definitely not 51,000, right? It's 95,000, but the results are still the same. Why? Because it is in manual mode. So it won't take time now to calculate it. Whatever big formula you're giving, it won't take time. The result will be automatically displayed, but it is incorrect display. So you have to do calculate now once your work is done. So all the formulas you input and then do calculate now at the end of the steps. So it can save a lot of time because every step you don't need to wait for this calculation to be done. So this is one thing which can help you in saving time. And the next thing I can say is, for example, you're giving a VLOOKUP. Okay. And usually when we are giving VLOOKUP, what people do, they select the entire column, right? It will be an error, but I'm just giving an example. If you do this, it has to read the entire column to get you the output. But I know that there is data available only in specific columns. So instead of giving the entire column or entire row as a input, I will use only the data available. So I will say read only this much. Don't read the entire column or entire row because it will take a lot of time in Excel for Excel to read it and give you the output. And for example, you have this particular table which can you can call it as like a payroll data, right? So instead of for example, you are giving a new sheet, you're creating a new sheet, and you want to know someone named Diana Harper. Okay. You want to know what's the total pay for Diana. Okay. You're getting the total pay. So instead of doing this, instead of every time saying that sheet 1 B to E or sheet 1 A to C, something like that, you know this is the data you want to refer every time. And you can create it as a table, which is like the ideal scenario. You can say my table has headers. And the moment you create as a table, it'll be easier for Excel to refer it. You don't need to refer some cell to some cell, like A to C, A1 to B1, something like that. You don't need to refer. It can always refer the table and can give you the output in a faster way. So if you're having a huge data sets, try converting them to a table format and the results will be much quicker. And always check where is the last cell of your particular Excel. So in my case, the last cell where the data is available is column M 1 lakh. What does it mean? We have referred this in our earlier sessions as well. It can be data can be available in the last row, last column. So for example, if someone has saved some data at the right far end somewhere by mistake or something, if you do this control end, it'll say this is your final cell. The moment you go here, you can see that this is the last cell. But if you see from here, BK2, our data, there are almost like 50 cells where there's no data. But still Excel has to save this and save this as a huge file, right? So it can consume a lot of data and it can slow down your system. So if you're not using some cells which is having some random data, just try to delete that so your file can become much better. So I hope these tips helped you. And if you face any specific challenge where you want support from us, just let us know in the comment section what all issues you faced or what all solutions you are looking for. We'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you.